So the first step is to load an image collection. So I'm going to go grab the little starter snippet and paste it in here. And step one is to load the image collection, which I've done as a line comment. So I've created a container here, or a variable called step one without a space. And that's going to be equal to this ee.imageCollection. So we're calling here a method of Earth Engine, right? ee dot this method, which is a kind of like a property of the Earth Engine object. And then it's a function. So it has parentheses to take arguments. And so it's giving you this warning right now that you're basically calling it with too few arguments. It's not going to run because it's expecting you to fill out something in this parentheses. So let's go over to the docs. And if you go to the EE image collection, you can see that we're using this method. And so if you look at it, it can be constructed from, you need to feed it either a string or a list of images or a single image or something else that can be interpreted as a collection. So we're going to feed it a string, but we have to find the string to enter here. So there's a couple of ways to do this. And one, I just want to draw your attention to the Earth Engine data catalog. If you type that into Google, you should get to here. And so this is I guess I have to wait for it. There it is. So this is the one way to look at the data sets that are in Earth Engine. That's kind of fun to explore. They have it done by category, and you can kind of poke through. We're going to be working with not everything that's in here, but quite a few examples from here. You can also search by just a key term. So if I say LST here, it's going to say these are all of the data sets that have LST in the description. And if I say for the data sets that are tagged, these are the different land surface temperature options. And there's quite a few of them because anyway, there's quite a few. So Terra, here's kind of what we're working with. The MODIS sensor on the Terra or the Aqua satellite. And I'm going to just look at my notes here to see which one I used for this lesson. MODIS 061, and did I do the Terra or the Aqua? Sorry, Mod 11 and Mod 11A1. I think it's this one. Looks like I used Terra. So if I go here, the address is MODIS 061 Mod 11A1. So that's what we want to grab, this string right here. I'm going to highlight it and copy it and go back over to here. And if I paste it in, it's going to come in as a string. It's MODIS 061 mod 11A1. And just quickly, if you don't have to necessarily leave the code editor to find those kinds of addresses, you can also kind of type it in here. If you want to type in MODIS LST, it should give you here are the different options. And if you clicked on this one, it would take you to this version of the kind of card catalog. And then you can get the address here as well. So we'll be grabbing data sets through either this or here, and just to as we move along. But that's the idea. You got to do the address as a string. And so if I hit run, it should be happy here, but you're not going to get anything. So let's try to do some things. I'm going to encourage you to always kind of check after you've asked the computer to do something. I want you to be able to check to see if what it did was what you were expecting. So this is where the print thing kind of comes in handy. And I'm going to start by saying we're going to print step one, and it's okay to have spaces in a string, so that's fine. And I'll put a little colon here. And then I'm going to say, can you print out step one? And then thank you very much. And if I hit run here, it's going to try, and I think it's going to fail because it's basically going to quit if there are over 5,000 images in this collection. And if we go back and look at this, you can see, well, we've got this data set that's available from February 24th, 2000 to just a couple of days ago, just last week, September 13th, 2023. And it's daily. So there's kind of a lot of images in here. There's more than 5,000 images. And this thing is kind of farting out at 5,000. It kind of pulls the union card at that point. So I'm going to kind of put some white space here just because we're going to be doing a bunch of prints, and I can still run this even with the white space and we're going to get the same issue. But the point being that this is where the kind of the semicolon comes in handy, is that I can space my arguments over multiple lines, and it'll be happy with that. And this is sometimes easier to read. So to get this to actually work, we can use this method of an image collection, of grabbing the first. So if you go over here and you look at first, this returns the first entry from a given collection. So now if I hit run, it's just going to basically take the top card from the deck, and it gives you one image. And right, because it's kind of dealing from the top, and it's saying, all right, here's the first image that's on this big stack of images. That is our image collection. And here you can see that this is from February 24th, 2000, that the ID basically tells you the address, and then the image ID is basically the date. And February 24th makes sense because that's the first image. And so there's a couple of other things that are kind of handy. You can say first, step one, size. And size is going to tell you the number of elements in the collection. So if I run this again, it's going to give me the first one, and then tells you that this image collection has 8,533. You can get a few more kind of pieces of information, not about the image collection, but if I focus on the first one, I can do things like tell me the band names and run, and that should now give me a list of all of the bands that are included in the first image, and which you would kind of almost assume would be true for every image in the collection, or at least you could have that hunch. And so you can print that out here. You can also go to the data catalog, and under bands, it kind of tells you the same thing. It tells you the names of the bands. It also gives you some more descriptions. So it tells you what this thing means. It tells you the units. It tells you the scale factor, all that kind of business. Here, you can just get a quick list of all of the names of the bands. And then you can kind of combine this concept with this concept. If you wanted to know quickly, like how many bands are in this image, you could say first, band names, size, and that should tell you quickly, or relatively quickly, that there's 12. Is that fair? Another thing that you can do from this is step one, grab the first image, go to projection, and hit run. And this is going to tell you the CRS. Here is the projection information. That's the CRS. So that's a coordinate reference system, and it's a code. And not to get too, let's see if this will work. If I highlight this and go up to here and type it in as a string, it's the modus sinusoidal corrected version, but it just tells you a little bit about the coordinate reference system that this image is stored in. And similarly, you can use the projection function of, again, to say nominal scale and hit run, and it's going to go through it, and it's going to tell you the scale, so of the pixels in this first image, so 926. And if you go back here, you can see that they kind of rounded off. They just said that the resolution was 1,000 meters, when, if you really get into it, it looks like it's 926 and change. So the idea is that you can use these types of methods to interrogate your data set a little bit. and get some information from it. Some of this information you can also get from the card. Sorry, that was my downies there. The CAD catalog you can get the similar info from. So that's let's do a couple things. So last thing, you can get the first image in the image collection. What if you wanted to get the last image in the image collection? And so here I can say, well, step one, and I want to sort this image collection based on something that is a time stamp. So let's say that system time end tells you that this is a code for the time that this observation ended. So if I say sort this, um, and then I have to go to see how sort works. I believe it's a property of a list. And so if I say sort here, um, nope, it's not a property of a list. Oh, and so a couple things here. This has to be like this. It's a property of an image collection. Sorry about that. So if I say sort, um, I need to feed it the property. So that's the property that I'm feeding it. And then true or false, do you want it ascending or descending? So we want it descending. And so I want to say false. Um, and that's going to take our image collection and just basically resort it so that the most recent one is now on the top. So if I say dot first and draw what is now on the top of this resorted image deck or image collection, I should get the most recent image. And so it's going to do that. And wait for it. There it is. So 913. And then the last thing is the difference between the most recent image and the current date. So this is currently September 20th when I'm recording this. And the last image is, the most recent image is 913. That difference is called the latency of an image collection. It's telling you kind of how much time, like how long do you have to wait before the next episode kind of comes out. And this is basically saying it takes a week for for this data product to get uploaded into Earth Engine because it needs to get collected, and then the LST product needs to get constructed, and then that LST product needs to get ingested into Earth Engine. And that whole process from data collection, data processing and storage to ingestion so that it's available in Earth Engine takes about a week for this data product. Is that all right? So that's all I'm going to say for loading an image collection. Other than you don't necessarily have to go through all of these the first time, but these are just some of the ways that you can interrogate the data set when you first load an image collection.